Welcome back, cold warrior. Right now, in this exact instant, divine light has drawn you to this place according to the Father's perfect design. Pay close attention, son or daughter of the Most High. This word is not meant for the masses. If you toy with shadows, ridicule spiritual realities, or handle God carelessly, this is not your space. Only those who genuinely hunger for the highest belong here. Only the ones who sense that silent, persistent tug deep inside their spirit are intended to receive what I'm about to release. If you're still present, heaven itself has permitted this message to reach you at precisely the right hour. Your path was sovereignly directed to this moment. What I will unveil may challenge you, fortify you, and potentially redirect the entire trajectory of your existence. But only if your heart stays open and receptive. This is a direct word for the marked ones, especially the fiercest among them. Before we descend further, I need you to lock in your agreement in the unseen realm. If this is striking your inner man, drop a comment immediately. Write 777 as your signal that you recognize this word belongs to you. And if your spirit is bearing witness, don't hoard it. Music, pass it along to someone who desperately needs spiritual awakening. Now, cold one, remain right here with music me until the conclusion. There's something vital you must receive. When I speak of the fiercest chosen, I'm not referring to music-proud labels or who appears the most holy outwardly. I'm talking about those whose inner being has been refined through blazing trials, whose heart was shattered, then lovingly reconstructed by God Himself, whose submission was hammered out in secret places away from human eyes. Many received the invitation, few were ultimately selected. Music, and even among the selected, exists a smaller circle, a remnant within the remnant. These are the ones heaven can entrust with heavier conflicts and more significant missions. The fiercest chosen one is rarely music, the most vocal person present. Often they are the silent watcher in the background who perceives music, what everyone else overlooks, and senses what others remain blind to. From early years they felt set apart, as though they never completely fit into the surrounding world. While others easily merged in, they carried an unseen pressure, a mysterious inner certainty that their existence would never be average. They were sometimes ridiculed for being overly emotional, too profound, or excessively earnest. But that depth was actually spiritual antenna, not fragility. You might recall being the first to detect fractures in your household music long before others noticed. You might have sensed oppressive atmospheres, thick darkness in certain locations, or contradictions, music between people's speech and their true inner condition. You may have wept without clear cause, carrying loads that made no rational sense for you to bear. These were early indicators of spiritual authority. Music, the fiercest chosen, frequently arrive with elevated perception of the invisible realm because their mission demands razor-sharp insight. Yet society rarely honored this gift. Because of that rejection, many of the strongest grew up feeling alienated, dismissed, or even doomed. Close relationships dissolved without explanation. Relatives grew distant. Those they cherished most deeply could never fully understand them. But listen closely. That rejection was never a punishment. It was divine screening. God permitted rejection to shield you from being molded by destructive influences. He allowed certain entrances to be sealed so your developing spirit would not become trapped in places incapable of holding your true destiny. If these words are beginning to mirror your own journey, tap that like button now. Show me you're walking with this revelation. The fiercest chosen endure preparation that others cannot comprehend. While many remain in spiritual comfort zones, you were thrust into conflict at a young age. Unusual opposition appeared in cycles. Every forward movement was met with resistance trying to drag you backward. This wasn't proof of weakness. It was evidence you pose a genuine threat to darkness. The adversary recognized your future influence long before you did and resolved to shatter, music, discourage, and mute you. Examine the pattern of your journey. How many times did you endure what should have finished you? How often did you believe it was truly over, yet somehow you rose once more? The fiercest chosen remain upright after tempests that spiritually destroyed others. That is tangible proof of rank. True strength isn't displayed during peaceful seasons. It shines music in the moments you pray through streaming tears, worship despite crushing sorrow, and cling to God even when abandonment feels total. You've also discovered your conscience operates differently. You cannot comfortably remain in wrongdoing. You cannot dwell in half-hearted compromise and still enjoy peace like others who rationalize everything. Conviction strikes you swiftly. You are drawn back into righteousness repeatedly. This isn't God being cruel toward you. This is God safeguarding the valuable deposit within you. The fiercest chosen receive stricter disciplined music because what they steward carries far greater eternal cost. The concealed preparation of the fiercest often appears as isolation. There were extended periods when God permitted every person to depart so his voice could finally become unmistakable to you. At times it felt like discipline, but it was actually consecration. During those solitary nights when calls went unanswered and no one grasped your pain, heaven was schooling you to walk intimately with God as your truest friend. Music. The fiercest are trained to stand firm, even without applause, without validation, without anyone recognizing the weight they bear. Music. Certain relationships, opportunities, or directions that looked appealing were quietly blocked. You couldn't understand why things never unfolded for you the way they did for others. Hear me clearly, that was supernatural guardianship, not personal shortcoming. The fiercest chosen cannot become entangled in every narrative because their focus, energy, and affection must stay reserved for their authentic purpose. God shut some entrances not because you lacked value, but because you were far too precious to be squandered there. Another distinguishing mark of the fiercest chosen music is the profound compassion they carry. Even after deep betrayal, the why still feel compelled to love. Even after constant misunderstanding, they still sense an inner call to bring healing to others. They may seem reserved or cautious at times, yet beneath lies an immense reservoir of mercy. This is precisely music why wounded people, confused souls, and searching hearts are drawn to confide in you. They intuitively sense stability, timelessness, and safety resting upon you. That is God's Spirit abiding on your life. The fiercest chosen also wrestle with an inner sensation that ordinary existence feels far too small. They observe routine living and experience a quiet, persistent unease, as though they were fashioned for something vastly greater than wealth, recognition, or mere survival. That inner agitation isn't selfishness. It's your calling reminding you of unfinished purpose. It's your spirit recalling there is a divine mission assigned to you, and you will never find complete fulfillment until you step fully into it. You've likely attempted to silence it through entertainment, busyness, or endless distraction, yet it always returns stronger. That persistent stirring is heaven persistently knocking, and here is something absolutely essential. Your mission is never solely about your own life. Music, the fiercest chosen, carry assignments that ripple across generations. When you finally embrace your true purpose, individuals you've never encountered will experience liberation. Pathways will open for others simply because you dared to walk yours. Ancient family bondages that imprisoned people for decades will shatter. Music. This explains why the opposition against you has felt intensely personal, persistent, and precisely targeted. Ever confuse spiritual authority with earthly status. The fiercest chosen might not possess wealth, fame, or widespread admiration. They could be laboring in humble work, dwelling in modest surroundings, recognized by almost no one. Yet in the spirit realm, music, their voice, causes movement. Their prayers fracture strongholds, their presence shifts environments, even when people cannot articulate why. The invisible realm has known their identity far longer, music, than the visible world ever will. Authentic strength is measured by spiritual impact, not public approval. It is measured by what collapses in the unseen when you arrive, not by how many eyes notice you in the natural. If your memories, your pain, your unusual life patterns are aligning with these words right now, it is no coincidence. You are beginning to perceive yourself the way heaven has always perceived you. You are not strange. You are music, not broken. You are not excessive. You are a vessel that has been crushed, refined, and carefully preserved for a far greater narrative. Before we move forward, I want you to comment below and share which portion of this message touched you most powerfully. Music, your story might be the exact encouragement another soul needs today. There is a specific prophecy resting upon your life. I'm not speaking of vague generalities. I'm speaking of a clearly marked assignment, heaven branded upon you before your first breath. The enemy has battled ferociously to prevent you from recognizing it, because he understands that when you fully step into your created identity, entire atmospheres will transform, entire bloodlines will be affected, long-standing generational chains. Music will be permanently severed. You may have received declarations spoken over you years ago, promises that felt impossibly large, words that bewildered you more than they strengthened you. The struggle to believe them stemmed from music, the enormity of the assignment not yet matching your current season. You weren't mature enough then, but chosen one, the tide is turning. What was once only prophetic declaration is now transitioning into visible manifestation. The elements are coming together. Doors long sealed are preparing to swing wide. Strategic people are being aligned. Pay attention to recent patterns in your life. Have certain themes kept resurfacing? Have particular phrases or scriptures appeared repeatedly from unrelated sources? Have you sensed an inner urgency, a drawing, a magnetic pull toward music, something you cannot yet fully define? These are deliberate signals. Heaven is communicating, equipping you, warning you that your appointed season draws near. The fiercest chosen endure longer preparation periods because their assignment carries greater weight. Your delay was never rejection. It was divine maturation. While waiting in obscurity, your character was being forged, your perception was being honed, your inner strength was being reinforced. Heaven made certain that when your hour arrives, the pressure won't crush you. Every conflict you overcame became your classroom. Every wound you survived became preparation. Every tear became sacred oil, consecrating you for the next chapter. This also explains the ferocity of the warfare. Major prophecies attract major resistance. Confusion, setbacks, music, false openings, betrayals, and despair are led at you in hopes you'll abandon the fight before your moment arrives. But the sheer intensity of the battle is proof of the enormous value of what you carry. Minor callings, music, attract minor opposition. Small assignments draw small attacks. The fact that you're still pressing forward, still pursuing, still alive in spirit, music, proves that what resides in you is far too significant to be destroyed. Now listen carefully. Divine timing is never arbitrary. There are appointed seasons when heaven unlocks doors that have remained shut for decades. There are moments when everything that felt permanently stuck suddenly begins to flow. You may be stepping into such a window even now, but understand this: these windows demand swift obedience. When God signals movement, hesitation becomes costly. When He commands speech, second-guessing becomes dangerous. When He instructs release, clinging becomes disobedience. Delayed obedience is frequently disguised rebellion. The fiercest chosen must develop razor-sharp sensitivity to God's timing. Not every open door is yours to enter. Not every opportunity carries blessing. Not every relationship is heaven sent. Some openings arrive as tests to see whether you'll rush ahead of God. Some possibilities appear attractive yet will exhaust you. Some connections feel ideal yet will sabotage your purpose. You must learn to pause, consult the Spirit, and wait for clear confirmation before advancing. Never allow desperation to push you past God's schedule. Never allow fear to paralyze you. When the moment to advance has arrived, there rests an authority upon your life that you must now begin to recognize and operate in. You are not merely Omion who hopes and prays things improve. You carry delegated power straight from the throne. When your words align with God's heart, they don't simply vanish into the air. They move mountains, shatter yokes, establish new realities. But this delegated authority only operates in purity and obedience. Compromise silences your voice. Sin weakens your intercession. Disobedience creates interference between you and heaven. This is why holiness remains non-negotiable for you. You cannot live like the majority and expect to walk in rare anointing. The fiercest chosen must uphold a higher standard. Your hidden life must match your spoken declarations. Your thought patterns must align with your public confessions. Your media choices, entertainment, and daily inputs must honor the presence you carry. What you consume either builds your spiritual capacity or quietly erodes it. Be brutally honest about anything dulling your edge. Let me give you clear, practical directives for this season if you are among the fiercest chosen. First, protect your spirit with fierce intentionality. Everything you permit into your environment will either sharpen or dull your spiritual vision. Not every discussion is safe. Not every environment is life-giving. Not every person should have unrestricted access to you. Learn to identify what diminishes your anointing and what increases it. There are individuals in your current circle who feel familiar and comfortable, yet if you're honest, every interaction leaves you spiritually weighed down afterward. That weight is real. Your spirit is signaling danger. You don't need confrontation or drama. Simply create healthy distance. Guard music, your spiritu, atmosphere. The fiercest cannot afford to keep investing in people who refuse transformation. Your oil is far too costly to be poured into vessels that remain unwilling to change. Second, become intentional with your hours. Cease investing time in activities that have no connection to your calling. The enemy doesn't need music to ruin you if he can simply keep you occupied. Your time is spiritual currency. Use it for prayer, study, creation, rest, and purposeful building. Music, protect your mornings especially. The first hour determines the atmosphere of the entire day. If you begin by scrolling, reacting, or consuming without intention, you surrender authority before the day even starts. Instead, begin in God's presence, even if only 10 minutes. Feed your spirit with truth. Pray over your assignments. Speak God's promises over your thoughts. Worship before you work. This isn't empty tradition, this is deliberate spiritual strategy. You are establishing the climate for your day and reminding yourself whose you are before the world attempts to redefine you. Third, fiercely guard your peace. Chaos dumpers will appear. False emergencies will arise. Crises that belong to others will try to become yours. Learn to separate your true assignment from mere distraction. Music. You cannot rescue every person, you cannot repair every situation, you cannot remain accessible to everyone, and that is not selfish, it is wisdom. Boundaries are love in mature form. If this is speaking directly to your current season, hit that like button. Let me know you're receiving this. Fourth, carefully select your inner circle. The fiercest chosen cannot maintain close covenant. Music, W. Those who casually accept sin, ridicule consecration, or continually draw them back into former versions of themselves. Love them, intercede for them. But do not become entangled with them. Not every warm personality carries a safe spirit. Some people were assigned to assist your purpose, others were assigned to hinder it. Learn to distinguish between them. Pay attention to your spiritual condition after spending time with someone. Do you feel uplifted or burdened, clearer or more entangled, inspired or depleted? Your spirit registers the truth even when your emotions try to rationalize staying connected. Stop ignoring discernment simply because someone has history with you or because separation feels painful. Familiarity does not equal alignment. There are also individuals heaven is attempting to bring into your life, but they cannot reach you while you're still tied to misaligned connections. When you release what no longer serves, space opens for divine relationships. The right ones will recognize you. They will value what you carry. They will sharpen you rather than dull you. But even in godly relationships, never allow any human to become your source of identity, security, or worth. People will disappoint. People will leave. People are human. Anchor your peace in God alone. Then healthy relationships become gifts instead of lifelines. Distraction is just as lethal to you as blatant transgression. If the enemy cannot cause you to fall openly, he will attempt to numb you through constant activity, entertainment, comparison, trends, and mindless consumption. These quietly sap your strength. They aren't always sinful in themselves, but they become destructive when they steal the focus and energy needed for your assignment. Music. Evaluate how much time you spend consuming versus producing, reacting versus pioneering, living in other people's narratives versus authoring your own. The fiercest must treat every hour with deliberate intention. Your time is weaponry. Guard your speech. The authority upon you means your words possess creative and destructive power. You cannot afford careless declarations concerning yourself, your future, or your circumstances. Cease speaking the enemy's narrative. I'm cursed. I'm unlucky. Nothing works out. I'm finished. I always lose. I'll never break free. Those words pollute your atmosphere. They establish agreement with defeat. They grant permission for bondage to remain. The fiercest chosen must prophesy life even when surrounded by death. Even when reality appears hopeless, your mouth must proclaim what God has declared, not what your eyes currently see. Speak blessing over your mind. Declare completion of your God-given purpose. Music, bless your journey even when it feels impossible. Bless your body even when strength is gone. Bless your tomorrow even when today seems uncertain. Your declarations today are literally sculpting your reality tomorrow. Guard your heart against bitterness with all diligence. The flames you walked through left marks, and the enemy longs to transform those marks into venom. If resentment is allowed to grow, it will petrify your spirit and deafen your ears to God's voice. Music bitterness never punishes those who wounded you. It only consumes you from within. It blocks favor. It clouds vision. It imprisons you in your own chains. Forgiveness is not an emotion. T is obedience. It is a deliberate decision you make, not because they earned it, but because your freedom is worth more than their punishment. You place them in God's hands so your heart can remain liberated. This does not mean reinstating them to the same place of influence. It does not mean denying the pain occurred. It means refusing to allow their actions to continue controlling your destiny. You choose liberty over vengeance, peace over poison, restoration over resentment. Be extremely cautious with even small compromises. Your level of authority does not permit flirting with the boundary lines of sin while expecting to remain standing. Tiny concessions become massive bondages. What you entertain lightly today may dominate you tomorrow. When the Holy Spirit convicts you concerning content, habits, associations, environments, do not debate, do not postpone. Obey immediately. Each quick obedience sharpens your spiritual sensitivity. Each delay dulls it. Treat your physical body with seriousness. Constant exhaustion, neglect, and disregard for your physical health will erode your capacity to fulfill spiritual responsibility. Rest is strategic wisdom, not laziness. Nourish yourself. Sleep when your body requires it. Stop romanticizing burnout as strength. A depleted vessel cannot sustain outflow for long. The enemy will eagerly exploit fatigue if you invite it through self-neglect. Do not pursue platforms or visibility. The fiercest chosen are not called to chase attention. They are called to obey God, whether seen or unseen. Fame without tested character becomes a snare. If God desires to elevate you publicly, it will happen after your integrity has been proven in hid. On places. Seek depth over exposure. Seek holiness over performance. Allow God to open doors in His perfect schedule. Music, surround your life with constant prayer. Bring everything before Him, decisions, frustrations, joys, schedule, fears. Prayer keeps alignment strong and pride small. When prayer ceases, self-reliance begins. And that's when enemies' suggestions begin to appear logical. Cling tightly to hope. These warnings exist to shield you, not frighten you. Your light is urgently needed. Your voice, your healing, your obedience, your very presence matter greatly in this hour of history. Walk with careful reverence, conscious of the mantle you carry, yet also with bold confidence, knowing you do not walk alone. The same God who marked you will preserve you if you remain near to Him. The season of spiritual half-measures has ended for you. You can no longer pretend ignorance of your identity. From this point forward, every choice either honors your calling or abandons it. Let these instructions penetrate deeply. Make necessary adjustments. Release what must be released. Embrace what must be embraced. Called 1. If you have remained until now, it is because your spirit has claimed this word as your own. You have endured fire, carried unseen burdens, survived attempts to erase you, yet here you stand, still pursuing, still listening. That endurance alone testifies that God's hand has covered you from the beginning. You are not merely receiving words, you are standing in a moment of divine activation. Reflect on everything you've overcome. Recall every moment you should have surrendered, yet something within refused to yield. Remember the times you had every reason to abandon faith, hope, God Himself, yet you remained. That was not merely your willpower, music that was heaven sustaining you, upholding you, breathing life into you even when you felt nothing. You have been in training your entire life. Every conflict taught you, every scar prepared you, every midnight hour groomed you for coming daylight. From today onward, see yourself through new eyes. You are not defective, you are not random, you are not excessive, you are not insufficient. You are precisely who heaven required for this exact moment in time. You carry a mantle, you bear prophecy, you stand among the fiercest of the chosen. Your scars are not marks of shame, they are medals of survival. They prove you outlasted what was sent to destroy you. They confirm you are still here for divine purpose. Right now, I speak blessing over your life. May confusion be banished from your mind. May the haze dissolve. May clarity strike suddenly, bright and unmistakable. May old wounds, betrayal, rejection, disappointment receive healing. Music, may protective walls rise against enemy schemes, while tender places open fully in God's presence. May your steps receive supernatural direction. May you recognize true open doors and possess courage to enter. May you discern shut doors and receive wisdom to leave them closed. May every chain attempting to keep you below your destiny be shattered. I declare breakage over generational patterns. I declare freedom over mental fortresses. I declare restoration over lost seasons. May clarity, courage, and consecrated boldness surge within you like never before. May you cease doubting what God has already affirmed. May you stop apologizing for your calling. May you stop diminishing yourself to accommodate others' comfort. May you walk fully in your created identity, without shame, without hesitation, without excuses. From this moment forward, move as one heaven has commissioned, because you have been. Move as though your footsteps carry weight, because they do. Move as though unseen eyes are watching, because they are. Protect your spirit, honor your assignment, refuse to shrink back into the small life you were delivered from. When doubt speaks, remember these words. When battle intensifies, remember your identity. When others attempt to confine you, remember that God called you out. You were never designed for cages, you were designed for dominion. If this word has pierced your soul, do these 3 things immediately. Comment below. Tell me which part struck you most forcefully. Your honesty might become someone else's confirmation today. Share this message with another believer who needs this exact word right now. Subscribe to stay connected, because the journey of the fiercest chosen is only beginning. The prophecy is authentic, your assignment is authentic, and your moment is now. Together, we advance into the light.